If you can't handle me spending weekends with my ex, maybe we're not right for each other. My boyfriend said that while buttoning his shirt like he was commenting on the weather. No pause, no hesitation, no awareness that he had just taken a knife to the center of our relationship. I stared at him from the doorway, my hand still resting on the frame, my chest rising and falling a little too fast. "You're spot on," I replied. His hand stopped mid-button. He looked up slowly, confusion flickering across his face as if he hadn't expected me to agree. As if that line was meant to shut me up, not end us. "Alex, that's not what I—" "No," I cut in, my voice strangely calm. "You meant it, and you're right." 10 minutes later, while he adjusted his hair for yet another poetry club at his ex's place, I sat on the edge of our bed with my laptop open, cursor blinking over an email draft I'd been avoiding for weeks. Subject: Singapore role, reconsideration. I'd already turned it down twice. A 70% raise, director position, company paid 2-bedroom apartment. My dream job in a city I'd always wanted to live in. I declined it because Noah couldn't imagine leaving his family, his routines, his weekend poetry sessions with his ex. This time I didn't hesitate. "I'll take the Singapore role," I typed. "I can start in 2 weeks." My fingers trembled as I hit send, but my breathing finally steadied. When Noah left that afternoon, smelling of a cologne he never bothered to wear for our date nights, I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't remind him that I was his girlfriend, not a placeholder between nostalgia and convenience. Instead, I started packing. A few days later, when he texted, "What's your weekend like? Can we talk?" I sent him a selfie from the departure gate. The word Singapore glowed on the board behind me. His reply came fast. "This isn't funny, Alex." I smiled at my screen, not bitter, just done. I don't know when my life changed, I would later realize, but it started the moment I stopped trying to be the cool, understanding girlfriend and finally took myself at my own worth. What he didn't know yet was that walking away from him felt less like losing love and more like finally walking back into myself. I'm 31 now, but I met Noah when I was 28, a time in my life when everything felt possible but nothing felt fully secure. I had a stable job in tech, a quiet apartment, and a good reputation at work. What I didn't have was someone who felt like home. Noah appeared the way some people do, softly, unexpectedly, like a gentle tide brushing against your ankles before you realize you're slowly being pulled in. We met at a friend's birthday dinner. He sat across the table laughing with a warmth that drew you in even if you weren't trying. He wasn't flashy, wasn't overconfident, wasn't anything that screamed red flag. In fact, he looked like the safest man in the room. We talked the entire night about work, about travel dreams, about how he hated raisins and cookies but loved them in oatmeal. Silly things, but they felt intimate in the moment. 2 weeks later, we went on our first date. And just like that, Noah slipped into my life as if he had always belonged there. For the first 2 years, things were good, simple, stable. He was affectionate without being overwhelming, thoughtful without being dramatic. He held my hand in public, remembered my coffee order, and checked in during long work days. When he asked if we could move in together, I didn't hesitate. Living together felt natural, like we were finally syncing our rhythms. I cooked more. He fixed things around the apartment. We watched documentaries on weeknights, tried new restaurants on weekends, and spent Sundays in bed scrolling through vacation ideas we never booked. Sure, there were tiny things I should have paid more attention to, like how he occasionally mentioned his ex, Ethan, always in an oddly gentle tone, or how he still had old photos stored in a folder he never got around to deleting, or how his mother once told me Ethan brought out a sensitive side in him you'll never understand. I laughed it off at the time. People have pasts. Who doesn't? Still, a small thread of discomfort tugged inside me, subtle yet persistent. But Noah was attentive enough that I convinced myself it didn't matter. Until 6 months ago, everything shifted. Ethan moved back to town, a single announcement on social media, back in Chicago, ready for new beginnings. And suddenly, Noah had a poetry club he attended every Saturday. Except poetry club wasn't a club. It was him and Ethan at Ethan's apartment, catching up. The first time I questioned it, Noah looked at me with hurt confusion, as if I'd accused him of a crime. "He's just a friend now. We dated for 2 months, Alex, 5 years ago. You're being paranoid." I wanted to trust him. I wanted to believe my feelings were exaggerations, not warnings. So I swallowed the discomfort, tried to be supportive, showed up as the cool girlfriend who didn't restrict or cling or question too much. But poetry club didn't stop there. Saturday coffee dates became Saturday and Sunday coffee dates. Friday game nights were added because Ethan was struggling with his mom's illness and needed emotional support. 3 weekends a month, then every weekend. Meanwhile, Noah grew distant with me. Less eye contact, more sighing, more excuses to leave the house, more perfume I didn't recognize on his clothes. Whenever I tried to talk about my feelings, he'd brush it off. Alex, don't be dramatic. He's going through a lot. I can't abandon a friend when he needs me. I wasn't asking him to abandon anyone. I was asking him not to abandon us. But little by little, I felt him slipping away, becoming someone whose attention lived elsewhere, someone who felt less like my boyfriend and more like a roommate with secrets. And through all of that, I kept waiting for him to choose me, to reassure me, to show me I mattered as much as his past. He never did. But the final break wouldn't come until a single Saturday evening, when his ultimatum became my liberation. The shift didn't happen all at once. It never does. Relationships don't break because of one moment. They break because of the quiet accumulation of 100 small ones. And with Noah, the accumulation started the day Ethan came back into his life. At first, it seemed harmless. A reconnecting coffee here, a shared joke there, a poem Noah remembered from the old days, even though he had never once mentioned poetry to me in our entire relationship. But then new patterns started forming, subtle but undeniable. Saturday mornings became sacred. He'd wake up early, shower a little too long, and carefully style his hair in a way he didn't bother doing for me. He'd spritz cologne, the same one he once saved for date nights, and choose outfits I had never seen him put effort into before. "It's just poetry club, Alex," he would say with a shrug. Poetry club. A club with no members except him and his ex. Every week he came home later. Every week he seemed lighter, energized, in a way I hadn't seen in months. Every week I felt myself shrinking a little more. Then Sunday mornings disappeared. Then Friday nights. At first, I tried to rationalize it. He's helping someone going through a hard time. He's being supportive. It's just Noah being Noah. Empathetic, loyal, kind. But empathy shouldn't feel like betrayal. Kindness shouldn't feel like abandonment. And the thing is, women know. Even when nothing concrete has happened, we feel the shift, the distance, the way someone's attention bends toward someone else. I felt it every time Noah looked at his phone and smiled at a message I couldn't see. I felt it when his body angled away from me during conversations. I felt it when he left the apartment wearing the cologne I bought him for our anniversary, a bottle that had barely been touched until Ethan came back around. Still, I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I tried to be more supportive, more patient, more understanding. Mistake, because my silence only made him bolder. One Friday, he came home late, hours after game night was supposedly over. I was sitting on the couch, laptop open but unread, hands frozen on the keyboard. When he stepped in, his hair was tousled, his cheeks flushed, his shirt slightly wrinkled. I knew that look. It wasn't guilt, it wasn't embarrassment. It was emotional intoxication. He sat next to me and sighed like he had just come from a therapy session, not a reunion with an ex who supposedly meant nothing. "How was it?" I asked. "Fine," he said, barely glancing at me. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just nodded and went to bed early. The next morning, he was already dressed when I woke up. "You're going again?" I asked softly. He froze for half a second, a tiny pause, but enough to betray something. Then he recovered with that easy tone he used whenever he wanted to downplay something. "Yeah, Ethan's having a tough week. He needs support." I stared at the back of his head as he tied his shoes. When did I stop being the person he came home to? When did I become the person he came home around? The hat mom, sung dot, the seed of conflict, wasn't that he spent time with an ex. It was that he dismissed me every time I expressed discomfort, as if my feelings were inconvenient, as if his nostalgia mattered more than my presence. Then came the day he wore a new cologne, a scent he'd never worn for me. Soft, woody, intimate. "Trying something new?" I asked lightly. "Oh, Ethan likes this one," he said before he realized what he'd admitted. He froze. I froze. The room froze. A part of me cracked right there. But I didn't break. Not yet. Because the breaking point, the moment everything shattered, was still coming. And when it arrived, it wouldn't be subtle. It would be an ultimatum disguised as innocence, a sentence he thought would guilt me into silence. Instead, it would become the trigger that set me free. 3 weeks before everything ended, I received the kind of email people dream about, the kind that changes careers, lives, futures. A formal offer to lead our Singapore office, director position, $140,000 salary, full relocation, a luxury two-bedroom apartment paid for 1 year, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I should have screamed with joy. Instead, I stared at my screen with a dull ache tightening my chest. Because I already knew what Noah would say. He had made it clear months earlier that he couldn't bear the thought of leaving his family. His mother needed him. His sister relied on him. His routines were here. His life was here. And of course, Ethan was here. So I told my boss I needed time. Then I told him I had to decline. Twice. And both times I did it believing I was choosing love. But love isn't supposed to demand the shrinking of your world. It isn't supposed to clip your wings because someone else is afraid to fly. The breaking day. It was a Saturday afternoon. One of those cool, golden Chicago days when leaves scatter across the sidewalks and everything smells like cinnamon and cold air. I was in the kitchen slicing vegetables for lunch when Noah appeared in the doorway. His hair was styled more neatly than usual, his shirt freshly ironed, his cologne warm and sharp in the air. The cologne he never wore for me. "You look nice," I said quietly. He barely glanced at me. "Poetry club today." "Of course." I wiped my hands on a towel. "Hey, we haven't had a weekend together in a while," I said gently. "Maybe cancel today? We could try that new ramen place you mentioned." He sighed, the deep, exhausted sigh I had grown to hate. "God, Alex," he muttered, "we've been over this." My chest tightened. "I'm just saying—" He cut me off. "If you can't handle me spending weekends with my ex, maybe we're not right for each other." Silence. Complete suffocating silence. I felt the towel slip from my fingers and hit the floor. I felt my heartbeat stumble in my chest. I felt my world tilt, just a little, in the way something does right before it shatters. I stared at him, waiting for him to take it back, to laugh, to soften, to say he didn't mean it. But he just watched me with that indifferent impatience I had begun to recognize. And something inside me shifted. Not in anger, not in panic, in clarity. "You're spot on," I said. He blinked. "Wait, Alex, that's not—" "No," I said, my voice calm and eerily steady. "You're right, this isn't working." His mouth opened, then closed, confusion flickering across his face, as if he suddenly realized the ultimatum he'd thrown carelessly had a sharp, double-edged blade. "What are you talking about?" he said, stepping forward. "Alex, come on. I didn't mean—" "I'm done arguing about this," I said softly. "I'm done being the insecure girlfriend in your shadow. And I'm done competing with a 2-month relationship from 5 years ago." His face hardened. "You're being dramatic." "No," I whispered. For the first time, I'm being honest. I walked past him and went straight to the bedroom. He followed me, panic rising in his voice. "What are you doing?" I opened my laptop. I pulled up the draft email. The Singapore job offer. "I'm accepting the job," I said, typing quickly. "I can leave in 2 weeks." He stared at me, stunned. "Alex, don't be ridiculous." "Ridiculous," I repeated. "I turned this offer down twice for you. Twice, while you spent every weekend with someone you used to date." He didn't deny it. He didn't apologize. He didn't even reach for me. He just said, "You're seriously dumping me over this?" "I'm not dumping you," I said quietly. "You told me we weren't right for each other. I'm agreeing." His eyes widened, anger flashing beneath them. "You're overreacting." "You said the words," I replied. "I'm just taking them seriously." At that, his expression twisted, and something inside me finally snapped free. "Noah," I said softly, "you should probably stay with your parents tonight, or Ethan. Up to you." He recoiled as if I'd slapped him. "You'll regret this." "Maybe," I whispered, "but at least I'll regret it from Singapore." He stormed out, the door slamming behind him. 20 minutes later, my phone vibrated. "Babe, let's talk." "You can't end 3 years like this. I'll stop seeing Ethan if it bothers you." "Alex, this is childish." I didn't respond. I started packing instead. My hands were shaking. My heart was breaking. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was choosing myself. The first night after leaving our apartment, I checked into a small business hotel near my office. Nothing special, stiff sheets, humming AC, beige walls, but it felt like neutral ground, a place where my life wasn't collapsing, a place where I could finally hear my own thoughts. I didn't cry, not at first. Instead, I sat on the bed with my suitcase half open, staring at the clothes I had thrown in without thinking. My body felt weightless and heavy at the same time, as if I'd stepped outside of myself. Had I done the right thing? The question echoed, sharp and insistent. But beneath it, quieter, truer, another voice whispered, "You didn't leave. He pushed you out." For 3 years, I had molded myself around Noah's needs, his insecurities, his past, his friendships, especially the one that kept pulling him back to Ethan. And every time I compromised, I told myself it was love. But love shouldn't require erasing yourself. At around midnight, my phone buzzed for the 10th time. Noah, Alex, please, we need to talk. You're blowing this out of proportion. Then, I'll stop seeing Ethan if it bothers you. Just come home. And finally, Alex, answer me. Don't do this. Come on. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. My chest felt tight, like air couldn't reach the bottom of my lungs. I didn't reply. Not because I wanted to hurt him, but because I had nothing left to say. Day 2, the first wave hits. The next morning, I woke up feeling like someone had poured cement into my stomach. I dragged myself to the hotel lobby for coffee, avoiding eye contact with everyone. When I returned to my room, there were 4 missed calls, then 8, then 11. His last voicemail played automatically. Alex, please don't leave like this. I wasn't thinking. I didn't mean what I said. Just call me back. His voice cracked on the last sentence. For a brief moment, guilt stabbed through me. Was I being too harsh? Was I being impulsive? Should I have tried harder to fix things? But then I remembered his words. Cold, dismissive, cutting through months of emotional neglect. Maybe we're not right for each other. And I remembered the way he left the apartment without a fight, without grabbing my hand, without saying, don't go. So I silenced my phone and opened my laptop instead. Email from HR. Your relocation package is being prepared. Departure date confirmed for Saturday. It felt surreal, terrifying, liberating, all at once. Day 3, the real conversation. I finally answered on the 18th call. Alex? His voice rushed through the line, breathless. Please don't hang up. We need to talk about this properly. I lay back on the stiff hotel pillows. We talked. You said what you felt. No, he insisted. I said something stupid. You blindsided me. I didn't think you'd actually leave. That's the problem, I said quietly. You thought I would stay no matter how you treated me. There was a long silence. Alex, his voice cracked slightly. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how messed up everything had gotten. I closed my eyes. Then tell me the truth. Why did you get so attached to Ethan again? He inhaled sharply. Because he needed support. No, I said. There's more. Why did you choose him over us? The truth spilled suddenly, like a dam breaking. When Ethan came back, Noah whispered, I felt something I didn't want to feel. Not romantic, just unfinished. He was a big part of my early 20s. That breakup messed me up more than I ever admitted. Seeing him again brought all of that back, and instead of dealing with it, I leaned into nostalgia. And you replaced our weekends with nostalgia, I said. I know, he whispered, and I'm so sorry, but I swear, nothing happened. We didn't... I'm not accusing you of cheating, I said. I'm saying you abandoned us emotionally. A shaky exhale, I know. Why didn't you tell me? I asked softly. Why didn't you say you were struggling? Because I didn't realize it until you left, and then I realized something worse. My heartbeat thudded in my chest. What? That you've been unhappy for a long time, and I didn't see it. The honesty in his voice hit harder than any accusation could. He continued quietly. I messed up. I lost myself. I lost you. But I'm willing to do anything. Therapy, boundaries, whatever you need. I swallowed hard. I need time. How much time? I don't know. He exhaled shakily. Okay, just don't disappear on me, please. I won't, I said softly, but I'm not coming home yet. When I hung up, I felt numb, drained, but strangely clearer. For the first time in months, the question wasn't, how do I save us? It was, do I even want to? The week after our breakup was a blur of logistics, emotions, and revelations, some expected, some utterly staggering. I spent most of my time preparing for Singapore, paperwork, HR meetings, visa documents, scheduling movers. Keeping busy helped. It kept my mind from spiraling back into old patterns, the ones where I bent myself around Noah's emotional needs. But quiet moments still came, and with them, doubt. I'd stare out the hotel window at the Chicago skyline and wonder, was 3 years really ending like this? Was I truly ready to walk away? Or had Noah's final ultimatum just pushed me into a corner I never wanted to see? Every night he called, every morning he texted. Not angrily, not accusingly, just desperately. Please talk to me. We can fix this. I didn't mean it. I love you, Alex. But the problem wasn't whether he loved me. It was whether he respected me and whether I still respected myself. Then the outside world got involved. I should have expected it. When someone leaves a relationship abruptly, especially when the narrative is messy, the echoes always travel. His mother called first. Alex, honey, she began, her tone tight and artificial. Noah told me you're not staying together right now. I inhaled slowly. I needed space. She clicked her tongue disapprovingly. Sweetheart, relationships have ups and downs. You can't just run off to a hotel whenever things get difficult. I closed my eyes. There it was. Minimization, dismissal, the subtle implication that I was overreacting, dramatic, unstable. I didn't run off, I said calmly. Noah told me we might not be right for each other. A beat of silence. Well, she said sharply, people say things they don't mean during disagreements. You can't throw away a relationship over a comment. I felt my jaw tighten. It wasn't the comment, it was the months behind it. I'm not throwing anything away, I replied. I'm protecting myself. Another pause, then colder. You know Noah has been very stressed. Ethan's been going through family issues, and Noah's been trying to support him. Maybe you should try being more understanding. There it was, the rewrite of events. The recasting of me as unreasonable, while Noah was just being a good friend. I didn't argue. I simply said, I'm moving to Singapore, and ended the call. The shock would reach Noah within minutes, I was sure of it. But I was done explaining myself to people who didn't care to understand. Then came the friends. One of Noah's friends, Tara, texted, Did you two really break up? Noah's devastated. I didn't respond at first. I didn't owe anyone a version of the story, but then she added, He said you blindsided him. I exhaled sharply. Blindsided? Was that really the narrative he was spreading? I finally typed, He gave me an ultimatum. I accepted it. She sent a shocked emoji. Then, what about Singapore? He's saying you're using that as an excuse to bail. I stared at the text for a long time. Noah, who watched me cry over turning down that job twice, was now telling people I used it as an escape hatch? I felt something shift inside me. Not grief, not guilt. Clarity. If he truly saw me that way. We were already over. The bomb Noah didn't expect. 3 days later, my friend Liam called with a voice trembling between rage and disbelief. You need to hear this, he said, because Noah sure as hell won't tell you. He worked at the same fitness center where Ethan occasionally went. And one afternoon, he overheard Ethan talking loudly on the phone. Yeah, she's basically single now, Ethan laughed. Her boyfriend freaked out. Poetry club still works every time. My heart dropped. Then Liam sent me screenshots, messages from Ethan's group chat 2 months earlier. Guys, this girl I'm seeing is wild. Her boyfriend thinks we're doing poetry club. LMAO. I read the words again and again, each time feeling another piece of myself snap. So that was the truth, not the sanitized one. Not the, he's just a friend one. Noah wasn't supporting Ethan. He was being used by him. And I had been made into a joke. The humiliation hit so hard I had to sit on the edge of the hotel bed just to breathe. I forwarded the screenshots to Noah. One word, curious. He called 15 times in less than an hour. I didn't pick up, not yet. Some truths needed time to land. The next morning, I finally answered. His voice was frantic, raw. Alex, Jesus, where did you get that? It's out of context. No, I said quietly. This time, it isn't. Alex, I swear, I didn't know. He lied to me too. Maybe, I whispered, but you chose him every weekend over us. Silence stretched thin between us. I'm sorry, he finally said. I didn't realize. That's the problem, Noah. You never realized. You never asked. You never looked deeper. My voice didn't shake. His did. Are you coming home? No, I said. I'm leaving for Singapore on Saturday. He inhaled sharply. Alex, please don't go. But he couldn't ask me to stay. Not truthfully. Not after everything. I hung up gently. Not angrily. Not bitterly. Just done. And that's when everything escalated beyond just us. His mother, his brother, his friends, their opinions, their interventions, their accusations. All of it was coming. And I didn't know it yet, but the fallout was about to get louder than anything we'd faced so far. Because when someone finally chooses themselves, those who benefited from their silence often panic the most. The night before my flight, my last night in Chicago, I sat alone in the hotel room with an ache in my chest that didn't feel like heartbreak anymore. It felt like mourning. Not for Noah, not for the relationship. For the version of myself I had abandoned for him. That realization hit harder than any confrontation we'd had. I had spent 3 years smoothing my edges, quieting my instincts, softening my boundaries, all to be the kind of girlfriend who never overreacted, never nagged, never made things difficult. I wanted to be easy to love, but easy to love had slowly turned into easy to overlook. And it wasn't until I left that I saw just how much of myself I had lost. I sat on the scratchy hotel carpet, knees pulled up to my chest, the dim bedside lamp casting long shadows across the room. My suitcase was packed, zipped, ready for Singapore. My ticket was checked. My job was waiting. Everything in my future was opening. So why did my present feel so crushingly heavy? My phone vibrated again. Noah, of course. His 15th missed call that day, followed by a text. Please, Alex, I can't sleep. I can't think. Just talk to me. Even if you still leave, I need to hear your voice. I turned the phone face down on the carpet. I couldn't read another apology, another plea, another promise he didn't know how to keep. Because deep down, beneath all the anger, beneath all the betrayal, a colder truth throbbed like a bruise. I still loved him, but I loved myself. Too late. The tears came all at once. Not quiet ones, not dignified ones. Ugly, shaking sobs that punched their way out of my lungs. I buried my face in my hands, my body curling around the pain in a way that felt almost childlike. I cried for the weekends I spent alone, for the excuses I convinced myself were reasonable, for the perfume he wore only when seeing Ethan, for the way he called my feelings dramatic, for the job I turned down, twice, for the future I thought we were building together, for the girl in me who kept waiting to be chosen by a man who couldn't even choose himself. Until my eyes swelled, until the only sound in the room was my own uneven breathing. When the sobs finally faded, a numb stillness settled over me. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the AC, my arms wrapped around myself. That was the darkest moment. Not the breakup, not the confrontation, not the truth about Ethan. It was realizing that even after everything, a part of me still wished Noah had fought for us sooner. Wished he had set boundaries with Ethan. Wished he had looked at me the way he used to. But wishing is just nostalgia in prettier clothes. And nostalgia doesn't change the present. My phone buzzed again. A new message. This one not from Noah. It was Tara. I'm so sorry. I didn't know Ethan was saying those things. You don't deserve this. None of it. If you need anything before you leave, I'm here. I didn't respond. But her message cracked something open inside me. A reminder that I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining things. What happened to me was real, and it was wrong. Slowly, very slowly, the numbness softened. Not replaced by hope, but by something steadier. Strength, the kind that grows in the dark, quietly, stubbornly. I wiped my face, stood up, and walked to the mirror. My eyes were swollen, my nose red, my hair a mess. But I didn't look broken. I looked awake. No more shrinking, I whispered to my reflection. No more waiting to be chosen. Tomorrow, I would board a flight to Singapore. Tomorrow, my old life would end. Tomorrow, I would start becoming someone I should have been all along. But tonight, I finally said goodbye to the version of me who tolerated less than she deserved. The darkness didn't defeat me, it revealed me. And the woman who rose from that floor wasn't the same girl who once begged for crumbs of affection. She was someone finally ready to take back her story. The morning of my flight, Chicago felt strangely gentle. The sky was a soft gray, the air cool against my cheeks as I stepped out of the hotel. For the first time in months, I didn't feel rushed. I didn't feel anxious. I didn't feel like I was walking on eggshells. I felt untethered, in the best way possible. The taxi ride to my apartment, just to pick up the last small box I had left, felt surreal. My reflection in the window didn't look like the woman who used to wait for Noah on quiet Saturday nights while he spent time with someone else. She looked steadier, clearer, sharper, almost reborn. When I reached the apartment building, I was half expecting Noah to be there, waiting, apologizing, pleading. A rom-com scene unfolding in the hallway. But reality was quieter, just the soft echo of my footsteps. When I walked inside, everything felt smaller. The walls, the space, even the memories. Noah wasn't there. He had class that morning, some workout or group he'd signed up for to clear his mind. It didn't matter anymore. My box of belongings was waiting by the door exactly where I'd left it. But something else was there too. Noah's phone, sitting on the kitchen counter, screen lit, notifications buzzing. I shouldn't have looked, I know that. But one notification caught my eye. Ethan, group chat. Bro, she basically single now anyway, LOL. My stomach twisted. Another came through seconds later. Ethan. Lily's cousin party still on? I'll bring someone if Zoe's busy. Zoe, Ethan's girlfriend. Not me. So that was the truth Noah had been too afraid to face. He wasn't choosing Ethan over me because they had some unfinished emotional story. He was choosing Ethan over me because Ethan gave him an escape from accountability, a place to dump feelings he didn't want to handle, an illusion of emotional intimacy without real commitment. And I was nothing more than a safety net. I didn't touch the phone, didn't scroll, didn't invade. I didn't need to, because the truth had already revealed itself months ago. This was just confirmation. The confrontation that wasn't meant to happen. As I picked up my final box, the apartment door opened. Noah stepped inside. Disheveled hair, gym bag slung over his shoulder, eyes widening when he saw me. Alex, wait, don't leave yet. Please. I set the box down calmly. I'm not here to argue. I'm leaving for the airport soon. He dropped the bag. I went to therapy again yesterday. I'm trying, Alex. I swear I'm trying. I know, I said softly. And I'm glad. But this isn't something trying can fix. He shook his head, stepping closer. I'll cut ties with Ethan. I'll do whatever you want. I studied him. Really studied him. And for the first time in a long time, I saw him clearly. Not as the man I hoped he would become, but as the man he truly was. No, I said gently. Don't cut ties with him for me. Do it for yourself, or don't do it at all. He inhaled sharply. I can't lose you. You already did, I whispered. His face crumpled, panic rushing in. Alex, please. You didn't choose me when it mattered, I said. And I finally realized, I can't keep choosing someone who treats me like a backup plan. His breath trembled. I thought you'd stay no matter what. You always did. That was the moment, the turning point. Not his apology, not his tears, not his desperation. It was that one admission. He thought I would stay because I always did. He assumed my loyalty was unconditional. He assumed my love had no limit. He assumed I didn't know how to walk away. But I did now, and he knew it. The power shift. I picked up my box, walked past him, and stopped at the doorway. Noah, I said quietly, you weren't wrong about one thing. He looked up, hope flickering. We're not right for each other. His face fell. Not because of Ethan, not because of the job, but because I finally saw myself the way you saw me. How, he whispered, as someone easy to take for granted. He swayed slightly, like the words hit harder than he was prepared for. And then I said the last sentence he didn't expect. I'm choosing myself for once. When I stepped out of the apartment, the hallway felt bright, airy, open. I didn't look back, didn't pause, didn't reconsider. That was the moment I reclaimed my life, my future, my worth. That was the moment the story stopped being about him and finally became about me. When the plane touched down in Singapore, the cabin lights dimmed into a warm gold. I should have been exhausted after the 18-hour journey, but adrenaline thrummed through my veins. A strange, unfamiliar sensation stirred in my chest. Freedom. Not the cinematic kind, the quiet kind, the kind that settles into a woman who finally stops begging to be valued. The relocation team drove me to my new corporate apartment, floor-to-ceiling glass walls, skyline views, a kitchen that looked like it belonged in a design magazine. I stood in the center of the living room with my suitcase at my feet, the city stretching out beneath me like a promise. I wasn't homesick, I wasn't scared, I wasn't mourning. I was becoming. But back in Chicago, fallout was just beginning. Noah's side of the story starts crumbling. I didn't block everyone, just Noah, and the people who enabled him. But the world is small, and people love drama more than they love discretion. The first blow came from Tara. She texted me a screenshot, Noah's social media post. Sometimes people walk away instead of fighting for love. Sad to see someone choose money over loyalty. The comments were brutal, but not toward me. Didn't she turn down that job for you twice? Weren't you with your ex every weekend? Bro, this ain't it. Loyalty goes both ways. He deleted it within an hour. Damage irreversible. The second blow came from Ethan's girlfriend, Sophia. We had never spoken before, but she messaged me late one night. Hey, I'm Ethan's girlfriend. Or I was. The rest came in a flood. Screenshots, messages, photos. Ethan had been cheating on her every weekend, using Noah as an alibi, using me as a shield, using Poetry Club as a cover for his double life. Then she sent me the bombshell text Ethan had written to her. Her boyfriend's a nobody. Probably makes $50K in tech. I stared at that line for a long time. A nobody. From a man who used my boyfriend as a safety net and free emotional labor. Irony is a glass house. It always shatters loudest when truth hits. Sophia ended things with Ethan publicly. Posted the screenshots with hashtags that made me laugh out loud. Poetry Club fail. Director. Salary beats. Lies. Unbothered women rise. The post went mildly viral in their social circles. Then wildfire. Noah wasn't tagged. She didn't drag him. She didn't need to. His humiliation came from another direction entirely. His family turns on him. Karen, his mother, texted me out of nowhere. Alex, sweetheart, is all this true? I didn't reply. I didn't owe them my energy. But Tara filled me in later. Karen confronted Noah. So did his sister. So did Luke, his brother. Not gently. They asked why he lied, why he let Ethan make a fool out of him, why he let me leave instead of choosing me before it was too late. Apparently, Noah broke down crying in their living room. Angry crying. Guilty crying. The kind men do when they finally realize they were not the protagonist. They were the storm. Karen even said one sentence Tara couldn't stop laughing about. Son, she moved to Singapore. Singapore. Do you understand the level of I'm done that requires? Noah didn't. Not until it was far too late. Noah attempts a comeback and fails. He tried reaching me through every platform I didn't block. Burner email. LinkedIn. Work communication portal. A message I still don't know how he managed to send through my airline rewards account. Every message held the same theme. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'll change. Please come home. Please let me come to Singapore. Please don't replace me. He didn't realize something fundamental. I wasn't replacing him. I was rediscovering myself. I didn't reply. Silence is not revenge. Silence is closure you give yourself when the other person doesn't deserve a seat at your healing table. The universe delivers the final blow. 3 weeks later, my coworker, who lived in the same corporate housing complex, stopped by my desk. Hey, funny thing, he said casually. Your ex's ex, Ethan? He just moved into our building. Corporate housing deal. I choked on my coffee. Not because I cared, but because the irony was immaculate. Apparently, he got a similar job offer in Singapore and took it, probably thinking fresh country equals fresh reputation. Wrong. The building had already heard the story. Singapore expat circles are small. People referred to him as poetry guy, poetry club cheater, Singapore's saddest alibi. He hated it. Every time he passed me in the lobby, yes, I ran into him twice, he said, Alex, bro, can we talk? Let's clear the air. I smiled politely and walked away. We were not bros. We were not acquaintances. We were not anything. He was the debris of someone else's poor choices, not mine. And Noah? He spiraled for a while. Posted dramatic quotes, unposted them, tried dating again, failed spectacularly. Then came the rumor. He quit poetry club. He blocked Ethan. He started therapy. He told everyone he was working on himself. But healing shouldn't come through regret, or through loneliness, or through losing the one person who actually cared. Healing should come from genuine reflection. And maybe one day he'll find that. But now, I am oceans away. Different skyline, different job, different version of myself, a version that doesn't look back. Because the truth is simple. He unleashed the fallout, but I walked out of the ashes stronger. Singapore didn't heal me overnight. No city can do that. Healing isn't a sunrise, it's a dimmer switch, turning up slowly, one brave choice at a time. But this place, this new skyline, this new rhythm, this new version of quiet, it gave me space to breathe without apologizing for taking up air. My apartment overlooks the water. At night, the city lights ripple across the bay like reflections of futures. I never let myself imagine when I was busy shrinking for someone else. Some evenings, I stand barefoot on the balcony with a cup of tea and whisper to myself, "You made it out." The first month here was a blur of unpacking, work meetings, wandering unfamiliar streets, and realizing just how much time I'd spent molding myself to a relationship that wasn't molding itself back. By month 2, I laughed again. Not polite chuckles, real laughter that shook loose the pieces of me I thought I'd lost. By month 3, I started dating someone new. Claire, an Australian designer who makes jokes during thunderstorms, and never once made me feel like I had to earn her affection through tolerating disrespect. She doesn't flinch at honesty, she doesn't weaponize my insecurities, and she doesn't have exes scheduled into her weekends like recurring appointments. For the first time, I felt chosen without begging, valued without bending, seen without shrinking. But the real ending isn't about her, it's about me, about the woman who finally understood the loudest lesson her heart had been whispering for years. If someone makes you feel like you're asking for too much, you're simply asking the wrong person. The truth is simple. I didn't lose Noah, I released him. I let him become the lesson he was always meant to be, not the destination I built my life around. And in releasing him, I recovered the pieces of myself I had abandoned along the way. My confidence, my clarity, my sense of worth, my future. To anyone listening, anyone who feels invisible in the love they give, unheard in the fears they voice, or unchosen in the relationship they've been trying to keep alive. Listen carefully. Love should not feel like a competition with someone's past. It should not feel like an ultimatum disguised as a test. It should not drain you until you're grateful for scraps. Love should expand you, not diminish you. And if you ever reach the moment where choosing yourself feels like the most terrifying option, choose yourself anyway. Because sometimes the most powerful plot twist isn't the betrayal, it's the breakthrough that comes after. And sometimes the strongest thing a woman can do is step onto a plane toward a future she finally believes she deserves.